so much for joining us. Thank you so much. I do appreciate all your time. So like I said, I'm Temi. I'm the founder of Mommy Clinic, where we give moms the psychological permission that you can be hands-on mom, raise phenomenal children, and also be the best version of you as well. So we equip, moms to, thank you, Relish. We equip moms to, be able to win with their children and also win in your own personal lives as well. So we'll be speaking today on how to identify your child's genius. And not only identifying it, how can you also use it to your child's advantage? And why I had to bring this here today is that, many moms, parents or moms, especially I work with moms most of the times, they reach out to me, oh, Temi, my child is not good, you say they are not good in math and they're not doing well in English, they're not doing well in sciences and all that. And my question many times is that, yes, your child might not be good in something, but everybody is good in something. So what is your child good at, right? So some of them might say, all my child wants to do is maybe dance. All my child wants to do is cook for the older children. All my child wants to do is, play football, something, whatever that is, right? So, but what we do not know, so what we usually will do, the plan we usually will be like, okay, based on your child's interest, like your child is good at this. And especially for these children, so I'm like, okay, this child is not, that they're complaining, let's say in school, maybe their reports, their results, especially now that the children are now on holidays. So you'd have gotten their reports, cards and all that, or saying, oh, maybe they did not do well in this particular subject, but they're doing well in this particular subject. So for one of my clients, for example, let me give an example. Maybe she said, oh, my child is doing exceedingly well, exceptionally well in drama, but I'm not happy. His maths grade are not good enough, And I'm like, the drama. So what have you done with the drama that this child is good at, right? How can you use that strength to negotiate and get him to excel and commit to doing better in maths or English or whatever it is? So we mapped out that strategy, whatever it is. And, by the time she came back, she was like, oh my God, my child, yes, obviously the child is not like an A-star student now, but the child was not doing well at all before. But now the child is scoring like a B. The child is now doing better because we used his interest, his talent to negotiate and get him to commit into doing what he would ordinarily not do. So when you are able to identify to say, this is what my child is great at, so please be free to share with your friends and families and with your followers as well. So when you are able to identify to say, this is my child's talent, my child is great at this, my child's interest is in this, but they're not good at doing some other thing that you are not happy with, because, the child will be thinking, that's the best I could do. But because we know that irrespective of the fact that, yes, you must have some talent. We know that to go through school, you must excel in like maths and English or something like that. So how can you use that, to your own advantage? And that is why, but first, before you can use it to your advantage, you have to know what your children, they're good at. So for those people listening to me, let me know, what do you think your children are good in? What are your children's, interests? Do you know? Can you say that this is, my child likes to do this, my child loves this, my child is great at this? Let me know in the comments as well, if you already know your child's geniuses. And you can know from as early as from like 1-2 years old. So don't say, oh, my child is too young. You don't have to wait till they are in their teens or they're older. You can identify some of these traits in these children. Maybe some, they like to write, some they like to scribble, some they like to paint and color. Let me know what you feel your children, they're great at in the comments as we go on, right? And so like I would always say, every child has a special side of them, and it's your responsibility as a parent to help your children identify that at a very young age. And if you've not been able to do that as well, now you can still identify that if you have older children, and I would be taking you through how you're going to be able to do that as well. So one few ways, obviously, few ways before we get to how to identify that is that, like I said, it's your responsibility to unlock your child's genius. Children, like we'd always say, they come with like an empty plate. But as they get into life, when you start to expose them, they start to explore and all that. It's your responsibility to start to say, okay, this is what this child is good in. For some of us, when we were younger, maybe for some of you, you would have children that they can talk for Africa. But what do? You start to shut them up. You're talkative. Keep quiet. Must you always talk? But what you do not know is that talking is actually also a strength. But your responsibility is to say, okay, rather than allow this strength become a weakness, how do I support my child to help them develop this weakness that you are seeing as being a talkative, and help and support your child, navigate that to become a strength. So many times for children, when we see for their strength is we as parents that we kind of, snuff out their fires, right? We shut them down to say, oh, because we're seeing it as some sort of a weakness, right? So for some children, they can dance. We'll be saying, instead of you to do your homework, you are dancing. Do you know if that child is the next? Okay, I'm going to come to that to the comments very soon. So for some children, you don't know if this dancer will be the best dancer in the whole world if you have nurtured that dance, that dance side of your child. But no, you shut that talent down and you say your friends are doing well in English and math and science and biology. You are dancing, whatever it is. So it's your responsibility. Please do not let us snuff out the fires of our children's geniuses, because it's our responsibility to nurture those interests, those talents into, like a fruitful tree, right? That it would not start to like blossom in it. And that's why you see many adults now, many of us were doing jobs that we don't have interest in. Maybe they forced you that you should be a lawyer, whereas it's not because because you're talking so much does not mean you want to be a lawyer. Some of you, because you talk so much, maybe you like marketing, telling people sales, talking to people and all that, or maybe being like a TV host, right? So maybe some of us would have thrived being a TV host, but because our parents, maybe they did not help us nurture that, they shut you down. They say, this talking, maybe it is law, go and do law. Or some of you, keep quiet, you talk too much. And for some, they withdraw, they go into their shell. They don't now talk to people because they feel that they don't want to be heard, right? So it's your responsibility to allow that fire, ignite the fire, of your child's genius, rather than quench or snuff those out. I'll come to the comments, very soon, right? Then it's your responsibility to also understand your child's dominant learning style. So the way children learn is different. Everybody learn in different ways. We have those, that learn by visual learning. We have the auditory and we have the kinesthetic, right? So if you're interested in learning about, knowing your child's learning styles, you can leave it in the comments, say interested, then maybe next week I would do a live on how to identify your children's learning style. Because what we've seen is that some children, you will say, oh, my child is not good at this, whereas it's the way some of them are being taught at school. So maybe in that particular school, they're teaching in a more visual way and your child is auditory and would not, okay, good. And your child cannot necessarily learn so quickly through, being auditory, but their child is auditory, whereas they use more of visual learning in that school. Your child might not be able to learn so quickly, and it might seem like your child is not doing well, but it's not like the child is not doing well. Is that the way they are teaching the child cannot understand well, or, okay, good. So next week we'll do how to identify your children's learning styles, because that is also very key. So even if the schools are not supporting your child in the way they're able to learn and assimilate, it's now your responsibility at home, maybe when they're doing their assignments and all that, to guide them, along their learning styles and use that to support them. As for some of you, you have like teachers, lesson teachers. So rather than say, oh, the lesson teacher should just be teaching, you say, this is how my child learns. And I would, appreciate that you teach that child along the side. So next week we would learn about the learning styles. I would take you through how to identify your children's learning style and use that to your advantage as well. So how do you identify your child's genius, right? Number one, watch and observe. Watch and observation. So now that they're on holidays, so don't just take it that, oh, my children are on holidays, you're just leaving them to do whatever they want to do, and you are just minding your business. This is the time you want to be very observant. When your children are playing, maybe in groups, or they are playing individually, even playing with their siblings, you want to understand how does this child, how do they behave? How do they shine? So for some children, you see when they're in the group, they take authority, right? They start to say, oh, you stand here, you come here, this is what you want to do. You know that those type of children, they are born leaders. So rather than tell that child, what is your own? Must you always be telling everybody to sit down, come here? What is your, go and sit down there. What is your own? Leave them alone. Rather than that, you're supposed to nurture and say, great, okay. This child would most likely, like to be in that leadership role, right? What is your responsibility? Start to nurture it. So that's the time that, by the time they are a certain, they're in a certain age, maybe you register them in leadership classes for children. You can allow them start to take courses. Like I always tell people, your children can take courses from like age 6. There's so many online courses. They don't even need to leave your house. And for some of them, if they are doing, like now, they have some summer classes. So for some of you, if you see that your child is that type of child, you can look out for like leadership summer classes and put that child in there to be able to nurture that genius in that. And for some children, they like to talk. So you see that, this your child can talk for Africa. Rather than saying, my madam, my oga, talk. What do? Even rather than courses, there's so many resources, books out there online. Rather than just leave your children browse, just playing some of these silly games online, let them use their screen time productively to say, okay, let's take a class, or let me register you for a class on public speaking. Right? That is how you nurture the greatness in your children, rather than shut them up and say, it's only you that they should notice. It's only you that want to do this. So watch. So when you're watching, you see some children, they're always quiet, very poised. They'll just sit down and they'll be also observing. So that type of child maybe likes to be, likes to observe people. That type of child does not just jump and say, oh, I want to socialize with someone. So, okay, maybe this child is a bit reserved. So it's not that type of child you now be saying, you don't even like to socialize. You just sit by yourself. Rather than you saying, okay, this child is an observant person. What can I do to bring out the best, in this child? So watch and observe the qualities in your children, right? Then the next one is give them real choices. And when I say real choices, is actually asking them, oh, what would you like to do, right? So for some children, rather than saying, oh, you must do this, so they're playing, or maybe you're trying to develop a routine or a schedule for them to say, okay, what would my child like to do? Even the young child, if you have young children as well, asking them, do you want to draw or do you want to write? Do you want to color or do you want to dance? So if you now see, if the child says, oh, I want to dance or I want to color, then you see what activities brighten up your children. You have to be, to see that, okay, when you say, come and dance, the child is excited to dance. But when you say, come and write, I know some children, they don't like writing. So, but you have to encourage them to write. But you see some children, they genuinely love to write. Then you know that, okay, I need to support this child. This child that likes to write, maybe this child can be, excuse me. So maybe this child can be an author one day. And there's so many writing, classes, even summer classes. even free resources online if you're saying, oh, it's money or whatever it is. But to be honest, to raise the best version of your children, you have to invest in your child. The way you are investing in yourself, in your career, in your business, you have to invest in your children as well. So give them choices, and giving them that choice, see the one, that type, the activity that brightens them up, the one they would always want to look forward to doing. So it can be drawing, illustrating, coding. Like for some children, like for my children, I'll give an example. If I tell them, when I expose them to coding, when people say, oh, tech, I say, okay, I register them into, to code. But my children told me, and I think I did this when they were about 6 years old or something, they said, Mommy, we did not enjoy that coding. I knew that my children cannot be coders. I registered them in like 2-3 classes. They still did not enjoy it. But when it comes to like writing, public speaking, they're always excited, to be part of it. So that's how you also know, okay, which one do we forget? Which one do we nurture? But you have to also explore and give, options. And that's why I always encourage parents, let your children explore, open them to opportunities, let them try different things. By the time you expose them to instruments, for some children, you register them for piano classes, swimming classes, all sorts of classes. You would see the one that they are thriving at, the one they don't enjoy to do. Then okay, most likely this is not something that they're interested in. You leave that and you nurture the one that they're interested in, and they continue to go from one stage to the other. That's how we become genius in something. It's not like they will become genius in a day, right? It's because you are nurturing that interest and that genius side of them. So it now becomes, an overall great side, of them. But it's your responsibility to ensure that you expose them to as many things. For some children, it can be cooking. But if you're not encouraging your children to cook, how would you know that they will be the next best chef in the world, right? But many times you will say, I don't want these children to scatter my kitchen. I don't want problem. I don't want this one. Whereas your child is coming, Mommy, I want to help you in the kitchen. Mommy, can I do this for you? No, please, I don't want drama. Whereas it's your responsibility to encourage that child to say, okay, what can you do for me? Okay, wash this for me, put this here for me, and gradually you start to expose them to more opportunities in the kitchen. For example, if we're giving cooking as an example. Then the third one is validate what they're interested in. So like I've said, for some, based on what they're interested in, rather than sniffing out that fire to say, oh, what is all this? Dance? Drama? What is drama? Acting? No way. You're a doctor. No. What you want to do is whatever they are interested in, validate. Oh, well done. You're such a great dancer. You see them lighting up because they're so, oh my God, my parents acknowledge that I'm a great dancer, right? So whatever you see that they're interested in, validate it rather than sniff it out, rather than, condemn what they're doing. Validate to say, oh, well done, you are good at this, right? But like I said, if they're not good at other things, use that to your advantage. Come to a compromise. Oh, when you've done this, right, then you are able to dance 1 hour. When you've done your homework, then we'll do dance for another 1 hour, right? So they know that, okay, they would have the chance to be able to do what they're actually also interested in. And that's how you're able to use their interest to your advantage at the end of the day, right? So if you see a child that likes to organize stuff, pick stuff here and there, rather than you just ignore and say, it's your responsibility, why? Scatter it. Is it scatter? You are supposed to validate, to say, well done. This place is so neat today. Thank you so much for cleaning it up for me. Oh, you're such a great organizer and all that. And for the children, some children, they like to relate with people. They're friendly. They talk to people. Yes, it's your responsibility to teach them that, it's not, especially for young children, that you don't talk to strangers and all that. But when you know that they are with their friends or in a safe place and you see how they're relating with people, it's your responsibility to say, oh my God, you did so well. The way you were talking to, engaging your friends was so beautiful to see. Rather than say, are you the only friendly person in your class? Are you the only one that knows people? No. Validate their interest, right? And finally, encourage their expression in something. So that was what I was saying, that rather than you condemning, invest in that interest. So what they're good in, how can you now make them thrive in it? So if you see that, oh, this child likes to dance a lot, register them in dancing class. Let them be great at it. If you see that the child is great at, public talking, rather than saying, keep quiet, you talk too much, put that child in public speaking. Let the child use their speech for something more productive at the end of the day. If you see that the child likes to play with their hands and all that, the creative children, then give them the opportunity, register them in creative classes that they can use their hands to mold things, create things, build things, and all that. You see some children, they like to destroy things. Some children that they would take a toy and they would scatter it to the thinking, what is inside this thing? Maybe some of them, they are meant to build stuff, right? But they want to get to the root of the crux of the matter, that what is inside this thing. So you also want to identify that, yes, we know that it's not good to destroy something you've bought, but you take the child to say, no, this is not. But you are now able to say, okay, maybe this child likes to create something from scratch, or is just inquisitive to say what exactly is happening here. So they are maybe they are the science people, the scientists, right? Maybe some of them, they are the scientists. Some children, they will be pouring one drink with the other, saying, mommy, we're just testing it, we just want to see what would happen, from there. So you want to see, okay, this child is curious, they like to invent things, and it's your responsibility to see how can you now nurture it. Trust me, if you do not nurture your child's talent, see many people, they're struggling with jobs. They're in jobs, yes, they are making money, but they're so unhappy because that is not their interest, that is not their talent. They're just doing it for money. But imagine doing something that you absolutely enjoy to do, is your interest, and you are making money and earning from it. That's what your responsibilities are, as a parent, to say, okay, what is my child very good at, and how can I nurture it to be, for them to be great at it, right? So at the end of the day, it's not about you, because many of you want to raise a fake version of you, whereas your responsibility is to raise the best version of your children. I always tell moms, it is not the best version of your child's sister or brother, their siblings. It is the best version of your children that you should raise. Irrespective of how that looks like, it's your responsibility to support your children become the best version of them. So if you have any questions, please leave it. I will just go through the comment. Thank you so much for your time. If you got value, just put value. If you picked something, or maybe you can leave it in the comment as well. What stood out for you? What did you learn? Or you can just say value in there. Then I would quickly take the questions. I know I saw some questions. Okay, what if she likes reading and writing? She has been glued to books since a year old, and now she's 5. She's very brilliant too. She wants to know everything, reads almost fluently. And exactly, you already know what That's an interest. So what you want to do is, if I were you as a parent, a child that is great at writing, you should register that class. She's 5. There's so many writing classes that they now help nurture, because I know that my son, from the age of 5, because now he's 16 plus, he's been through a couple of writing classes, summer classes, that they teach them how to now be a more advanced writer, author books and all that. So you also want to do that, because my children are also like this. They love to read and write. So use that to your advantage. It can be the next, your child can author a book even before she's like 7 years old as well, right? So nurture that. But she doesn't like to socialize, and that's what I'm saying. Why must she socialize? So why must she socialize? When moms reach out to me and they say, oh, this is my child, they don't like to play with people, I'm like, why? There must be a why. We know that, yes, it's good to relate with people, but many times you will see these children, some children that, they might not necessarily like to socialize, or they're an introvert, for example. You see that when they want to talk, they talk, but it's just that they don't just talk or ramble anyhow, like the extra, like maybe how extroverts would want to do. So you want to ask yourself, I always like to ask mom, why do you want the child to socialize? So based on your reason that, okay, you just want your child to be able to relate with people, then teach the child how to relate with people, but not necessarily having many friends, right? Everybody cannot be friendly like that and just be all over the place. Everybody cannot be an extrovert and everybody cannot be an introvert, right? But if you are now saying your child has a low self-esteem, then I would say, okay, that's something you need to work on, right? That, oh, the child is shy and, always afraid to talk with people, to talk to people, then it's another thing that you're dealing with. But just because you want your child to be free and, talk in a place, not everybody is like that. But if you just want, you can just encourage the child, give them opportunities and take them to places that they can give them the opportunity to talk to people, but don't force it, right? Don't force it, but encourage to say, oh, when you get to a place, you can just ask people, oh, what's your name? Maybe if she gets to a place, let her teach your child how to socialize with people. But if your child does not necessarily want to be all out there, it's not in everybody's nature to do that, right? So there are some people that are cut out for socializing. So those are like maybe the sales people, marketing people, the networkers and all that. But I understand that if you want her to socialize, teach her how to do that, but don't force her, don't enforce it. But if she has low self-confidence or low self-esteem, then it's something you need to address. Okay, hope I didn't miss any other questions. Okay, welcome everybody. I'm glad that you got value. Okay, my son is more of an outdoor person and loves animals and socialize. Okay, and everyone is Tamara. How do I help separate or make understand strangers and be careful? Yes. So the thing is that how old is your son? Because it also depends on the age of your son. For younger children, it's just constant education that, what, when you are in this type of place, so you give scenarios, real life scenarios. Let's say when we're in the park, for example, if you do not know someone, you don't talk to people you do not know. Okay, it's 3, good. So let's use the park, for example, like the 3 years old, I remembered when my son was very young, like 2, 3, every time we go out, he's so friendly. He wants to say hi to people, talk to people and all that. But we just started to teach him, but we did not want to sniff out that side of him to say, oh, you don't talk to people, you are not supposed to be friendly, because it's also a strength, right? For many people want to be friendly, but they cannot be friendly. They will keep to themselves. So it's just your responsibility to ensure that now that it's still younger, is safe enough. So just to say, you know what, if you do not know someone, you don't talk to that person. So if mommy and daddy, if we're there, your siblings are there, you can say hi to that person. But if you're in a place that, a person that is not around you, you don't want to talk to strangers, right? Or you don't go here, you don't do this. So it's just your responsibility to keep guiding him as to what to do, but ensure that you allow him say hello to whoever he wants to say hello to. And if he's playing, let's say he's in a park, he's playing with people and you are there, it's okay for him to play with people so far you're there, right? But just constantly teach him in a very age-appropriate way that when mommy or daddy or your siblings are not there or something like that, you do not talk to people you do not know, because he doesn't even understand what strangers is. People you do not know, you don't take something from them, those type of, that's what you should do. But if you are there, then please do encourage it for him to play. that's what they do. Let him play so that he starts to understand that, okay, it's okay to play with people when there is a safe place or my parents are there. But when it's not a safe place, if my parents are not there, then I don't do this, right? So hope that answers your question. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And she's so confident and she even handled. Exactly. Well done. Well done. Exactly. Please let her be. Everybody is not. I would even give myself as an example. When I was very young, I don't just talk to people. Um I'm a friendly person, but I'm not an extrovert, right? And am I not the one talking to you now? If you see me outside, I will talk to you. People think I'm an extrovert, but I'm not an extrovert. I'm an introvert. So I don't understand, when parents and my own parents encourage me to be myself. They didn't force me to want to socialize. They just leave me to my own time to play or talk to whoever I want to talk to. But many of us were like good observers. We just try to like observe before we want to say, okay, this person, I want to socialize or I want to be friendly with this person. So please let her be. Confidence is the most important thing. If a child is an introvert, extrovert, whatever, we have so many extroverts as well that they're not confident, they lack self-esteem, and they're just using having to just talk to cover up. The most important is that you build your children to be very, very confident, to have very high self-esteem, and to appreciate themselves for who they are. Like nobody is trying to make them do stuff that they do not really want to do. So thank you so much for your time. I'm so happy that at least you got value. Do have a wonderful, wonderful week. The Lord be with you all and have a great week ahead. Bye.